obviously a very dear friend of mine,
Yeah.
but you're somebody that's massively inspired me
thank
in my
you.
life through ways that you'll never know probably. But one of the things that I've watched you do with absolute awe and wonderment over the last 18 years is traveling around the world, picking up new jobs, picking up new friends, picking up a new life, while also accelerating your career at lightning speed and doing absolutely fantastic things for the organisation that you're working for. So where do you get your inspiration from?
So I think it started when I went to Mumbai for a week on a work trip, and I was like, wow, I love this city. Mumbai, I think, is a city that you love or hate, and I loved it. I loved the energy, the smell, the colour, the people. I just loved everything about it. And I came back and said to my boss, I really want to live there. I want to work there. I think I could do a really good job, and I want to experience it for longer because I loved it. So initially, that's sort of what inspired me to move countries. And after some persuasion, my boss said, yeah, okay, fine, there is a role there, you can go for a year. And then I became inspired by the people I worked with. So meeting people from different cultures, from different backgrounds, different experiences, and just learning so much from their way of thinking, different mindsets, but so welcoming. I mean, I love the Indian culture. They envelope you in and make you part of the family. And, I learned that from them. And I think that helped me embrace new people. They thought of me as part of their family. They welcomed me in. They looked after me. And I think that rubbed off a little bit on me in the next places I went to. I found it easier to just become involved and become part of the family, if you like.
Amazing. Gosh. And so what was it like moving there?
So I met so many wonderful people. I went and saw so many different places. And I had the experience of, from a career point of view, implementing what I was used to doing in the UK in a completely different context. So it was a good challenge for me as well. That was probably the most life-changing year of my life. I think moving to a new country is pretty life-changing, and that country being India and the city being Mumbai is sort of throw yourself in at the deep end. And yeah, that's really changed my mindset. And of course, I got the taste for it then and wanted to experience the next country after that one came to an end.
So what personal characteristics did you need to be able to adapt to that kind of experience?
So resilience was definitely one. So everything was different. And I was like, but why is that happening? What does that do? How does this work? And one of my colleagues said, Mel, stop asking why, just go with it and you'll get on much better. And actually that is what I did. I just sort of embraced it and thought, okay, it's different, we'll go with that. But there was constant challenges. It's a hard city to live in, and it was just resilience and having amazing people around me to say, don't worry, you can do it, carry on going. And I did have a really good support network around me. So I think that is critical. That is, if I could say the number one thing in everything, being surrounded by amazing people. And I was lucky that I learned that quickly and then continued to meet more and more amazing people who continue to inspire me and give me confidence and motivate me to carry on doing more. And that was critical living in India, to be surrounded by people who would continue to help me with my own resilience.
So what are the characteristics of an amazing person?
So in the face of negativity, people saying no, people saying that can't be done, that's not possible, amazing people make it happen. They find a way, they look for alternatives, and it might not look how you originally thought it was going to look, but it's still an amazing outcome and it still can happen. And that's the people that I get inspired by, the people who help me to keep on thinking, yes, I can make it happen.
Amazing. Where do you find these people? I find them.
Do you know, that is one of the benefits of living abroad. But you can have it in any country. It is a mixture of people from all different countries, all different backgrounds, getting together, completely different experiences and ways of seeing things, but one common characteristic: they all take control of making things happen for themselves and for others. So yeah, I've been very lucky to find these people.
Definitely. And so in the context of business, if there was a CEO or an executive watching this now, and they were like, gosh, I really want this kind of mindset across my organisation, where do they even start?
I mean, I think it's around helping people to understand that they are in control of it. So it's very easy for people to think the system's dictating that, the structure's dictating that, the rules are dictating things, I can't do anything. And it's about helping people understand you are the one in control. You can change those things, you can influence them, you can be creative, you can work around it, but it all starts with you. And when people realise that they're the ones in control, that it's not someone else who's going to make things change or things happen, I think that's where real results start coming through.
Definitely. So how do we inspire people to take that action? What's the first step? How do we inspire them to take that first step?
I mean, I think one of the things is role modelling the behaviour. So I think if people see that that is a behaviour that is, you know, that's the behaviour we're looking for, and they see particularly people in seniority behaving in that way, and that's getting rewarded, and that's the kind of thing we're looking for, showing them examples, I think that really helps. So I think that's the key thing, getting role models that people can look up to and see this is the sort of thing, and really pointing it out to them to show them, look what's been achieved with that mindset, look what that person's done. It wasn't necessarily their role to do it, they've done it because that's the kind of mindset they've got, that's the person they are. So I would say role modelling it and showing examples is a great way to start.
Perfect. So you work in the tech industry.
I do.
And I used to work in the tech industry, and I know that there's a temptation in technology to focus on the intellectual capabilities and capital in the organisation. And we were just talking earlier about emotional capital and how it's possibly equally, if not more important, that we invest in the emotional capital of an organisation. So how does that show up for you in the organisation that you're currently working in and the industry?
Yeah, so I mean, I would say my role is possibly 90% working on the people side of things for them to deliver the technology as opposed to anything technical. I think that if you get the right people with the right mindset, what you can produce from a results point of view is huge. Yeah. And what I always say to people is, look at this person and the way they're thinking and their positivity and their mindset, and you know the way that they'll just go and make things happen. If you had 2 people like that, they could do the work of 10 people who are just getting by. And so really working with people to help understand what's blocking them from being more positive, from taking on more, from getting that mindset, I think just makes the productivity increase so much. And when people start seeing those results, they realise it's worth investing in.
Definitely. So if more organisations adopted this kind of mindset, what's possible?
I mean, honestly, I'm almost scared to think about what could be possible. But the point is, anything's possible. I don't even know what's possible because that's the point. We'd be creating it. We'd be pushing boundaries. You know, people would be happier in their roles, but by default, creating more, pushing the boundaries more. So, yeah, I mean, it's exciting what could be possible if you tapped into this.
It really is, isn't it? So, talking about anything's possible. You are the queen in my life of anything's possible. So tell us about that mindset that you have and how that's played out in your life.
So I think I've always thought, once I become clear on what I want, okay, how am I going to then make that happen? And I think what I've learned is the outcome might not always be exactly how you thought it would be. But if you've really got a clear objective, it's just navigating your way through to think, right, how am I going to achieve this? And I think the first thing is being clear on your objective, because many people don't really know what they want, and therefore it's very difficult to ever get there. So I think being really clear on what the objective is that you're working towards, and then being creative in how you're going to get there, getting people to help you get there. You know, I talk about it a lot, putting it out there, saying this is what I want, committing to it, putting it into the universe, and then finding a way to make it happen, and not being really het up if it looks different, you know, not thinking, oh, I failed because it's not exactly how I thought it would be, just continuing to go forward until you get the outcome. In fact, it's never until it's just a constant, I would say.
How do you maintain this positivity?
There's certain stuff I do myself, so I do loads of reading. There's loads of people who inspire me, and so I read the stuff they've written, I listen to podcasts, TEDx talks, you know, all of that sort of stuff. And then journaling. So you know, writing is an avenue that gives me a lot of creativity, and so that really helps me. And then I would say surrounding myself by amazing people. So keeping really close to the close people in my life and getting a lot of inspiration from them to keep going.
And how do you inspire others?
I mean, I think I have very honest conversations with people. So, you know, really opening up and talking from the heart, and trying to help people. You know, I do a lot of coaching, so it's really around trying to help people understand what is the goal they're aiming towards, and how can they get there, and supporting them in that way.
Yeah, and giving them that positive momentum. Like, keep going is one of the things that comes to mind when I think of you. Like, keep going, keep going.
Yeah. And having the confidence in them that they perhaps haven't got in themselves, that they can achieve what they're setting out to achieve. So motivating them that you know, I can see that they're going to be able to achieve it if they've lost a bit of confidence that they can themselves.
So sometimes people say, oh, it's easy for certain people to be positive because they've never had major challenges to overcome, whereas actually everybody that's been in this room today has had a major challenge to overcome, which is why I've invited all of you. So talk to us about how you maintain this mindset when you're faced with challenge or adversity.
I think owning the feelings is one of it. So it's fine you don't have to be positive all the time. There's times where you can feel sadness, you can feel frustration, and it's allowing yourself to feel that, but not letting it take over. So of course there's times where I don't feel positive, and I allow that and explore it a bit and think, oh, I'm not feeling, you know, the best today. But then saying, okay, how am I going to get myself out of this? And there's quite a lot of things I know that work really well for me. Like I've mentioned, you know, maybe watching an inspirational speaker or talking to someone I know who will help me feel inspired. I think it's about just allowing yourself some time, not feeling like you have to be on top form every single day. It's, you know, there's not many people who can achieve that. But springing back quickly in the ways that you know how, and you're getting your positivity back.
Definitely. So leaders need to be mindful, don't they, that everyone's on this emotional roller coaster almost.
I think it's almost dangerous if you see somebody who's up here every day. You worry about their, you know, their self-care. Are they looking after themselves? And so absolutely, you can't be on your top game every single minute of every single day. But it's about knowing how to look after yourself if you're not feeling your best, and then get back on, you know, onto your top form.
Do you think it's important that people who are in leadership positions can notice when people around them might be either dipping or going through something that they're maybe not verbalising?
I think it's really important to try to understand everyone's individual ways and how to interact with them. So I'm a very extroverted person, and if I'm managing a very introverted person, I have to be very mindful of that, because I could be a bit of a nightmare for an introverted person. When I'm like, let's go, they're like, so I think it's super important to know that. And again, it all goes back to me with honest communication. So I will say to someone, I'm very extroverted, I could possibly annoy you with some of this. Let's figure out how we work best together, so that we those two different personality types can work together. And at first people are like, oh, you're talking so honestly about how you are, But I think I've got some really close friendships of ex-colleagues where we've done that work because we know each other so well, because we had those honest conversations.
Yeah, so friendship at work has come up as a bit of a theme today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And it's important, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I would say probably some of my closer friends are people who I've worked with in the past, where it's easier to have a friendship now we're not working together. Yes. But for sure, I don't know what you would call it, but getting to know each other on a personal level, getting to understand how you work and caring about the other person and caring that they're okay, and will only help them do better in their job anyway. So I think that's super important.
So what do you wish leaders would do more of?
I wish that sometimes they would slow down on the results and on the delivery, and spend more time thinking about the people and how to get the most out of them, because that will anyway sort out the results. So if we put more into our people and how they work and getting the best from them, I think that will anyway impact the results rather than focusing directly on the results, if that makes sense.
So I've got an ambition to have all leaders be trained coaches.
Okay.
So that they can then coach their teams.
Brilliant.
And they don't need us to do it for them.
Yeah.
So what do you think are going to be the greatest challenges for leaders in adopting a more coaching style?
I think in a lot of organisations it's speed. So a lot of very experienced people who know what they want, it's much quicker to say, this is what I want, this is how I want it, than to take the time to coach someone else to do it. Yeah. So speed and slowing down, and knowing that a better outcome will happen through coaching. The other thing is, accepting that other people can do something and it might look different, but that doesn't mean it's worse. So sometimes people want to do everything themselves. They want to set the direction. They want to say this is exactly how it should be. So actually allowing someone else to take that position and coaching them to do some of that can feel uncomfortable for people. And I guess talking a bit more emotionally can be challenging for some people. Some people just don't like having those conversations, but the power of doing it is phenomenal.
What is the power?
Well, I think the power is that you have a much stronger team who are all happy, who are all connected to the company in a much more emotional way, and will deliver better.